What's up, everybody? It's Saturday, September 23rd, 2017, and it's been 2,938 days since the U beat FSU in football. The way my nose has been looking, that may soon come to an end, but until that happens, you'll keep hearing it from me. Got a lot of stuff today. Got some college football news, got some baseball news, and a couple other side things that I want to talk about. And then lastly, I'm going to end with Donald Trump deciding he wanted to put himself in the sports arena, addressing the protesting being done by Colin Kaepernick, and also the responses of other sports personalities or players. But I'll get to that in a little bit. First thing I want to do is just talk a little bit about the ending of the Canelo Golovkin fight. There were a lot of people just angry about how one judge saw it, where Canelo had won 8 rounds to 4 versus GGG, and another judge had it 2 rounds for GGG, and another one had it as a draw. So the only question I had is, were the people really upset that they had it 8 rounds for Canelo, or if that judge had just said he had won 2 rounds and it had been a draw, would they be fine then? I mean, they thought it was fixed because that judge scored it 8 rounds to 4. Well, if she had scored it 6 rounds or 7 rounds to 5, or 7 rounds to 5, which would have been a difference of 2, would that be the difference? People just, they automatically assume boxing was fixed because there was that disparity. Well, they're judges, and every judge doesn't look at the fight the same way. If you look at Harold Letterman, who shows his card during the fight, he had it, I think, 8-4 for Golovkin. So, and then I'm looking on Facebook, and there are people saying Golovkin won. There are people saying Canelo won. So what are they mad at? Nobody agrees on anything, and everybody's subject to their own judgment on how the fight went. How you judge it is what looks like a hit to you, what doesn't. Is the fighter being more aggressive than the other? Is one running and one's not? Is one holding? Whatever. How the condition of the boxer. At the end of the day, it was what it was, a draw. And the other the other agenda that they thought boxing had anyway was to generate another fight by it being a draw. So you're saying boxing wanted it to be a draw, but you're mad that the one judge scored it for Canelo. You're not really mad because they scored it for Canelo, you're just mad because they had it 8 rounds to 4. Anyway, I just thought it was just the weirdest thing how the mindset is of humans when they think about things. At the end of the day, if you think boxing is corrupt now, then you're out of your mind. I think Jack Johnson might have tanked some fights. Rocky Marciano tanked some fights. There's been bad judging in fights. This has been going on since 400 years. So for you to think now boxing is bad, I'm trying to figure out, is this your first boxing match, or where you've been, or what have you been understanding boxing to be all of these years? So that's my last conversation on that. I just thought that was interesting. At the end of the day, it was what it was, and it ain't gonna stop any of you from going to watch the next fight. Go figure. In women's college hoop, Gino Auriemma says he's willing to give up his $2 million salary for this year if it will help the state of Connecticut's budget. The federal government is planning some budget cuts for the state of Connecticut, and most of those cuts will come in the education sector, and those cuts will come at the University of Connecticut. So Gino Auriemma is willing to give up his $2 million salary if it's going to help their budget. I think what bothers me the most here is that the government still feels like it education is not important. Does anybody see the pattern here in the U.S. now? You know, your First Amendment rights are no longer valid anymore. They're cutting education. They're cutting health care. They're cutting assistance programs. I don't understand what it is that they're trying to preserve when they're cutting the backbone, those things that the backbone of your country is taken care of. We're talking about the 99%. If you're cutting the healthcare, if you're cutting the education, and you're taking away civil rights and amendment rights, you ain't got nothing left. You might have a revolt on your hands. You guys better get it right, but then again, maybe these are the times. I'll leave it at that. Some of y'all ain't ready for that conversation yet. Major League Baseball, wild card. The Angels have lost 6 in a row, and with I think 9 games left, they are 8 games left. They are 4 games behind the Twins, and now they've fallen actually a half game behind the Rangers for the wild card spot. I'm going to go ahead and put it out there that they're not going to win any. To their defense, they played 3 games against the Indians and lost, and they lost 2 games to the Astros, and they'll probably lose tomorrow to the Astros, the 3rd game of a 3-game set. And they had lost that last game, I think it was to Oakland before then. I think really all the Twins have to do is win 2 more games, and they probably have wrapped up maybe 3 more games, and they can wrap it up. Technically, since they're only 4 games ahead of the Angels and only 3.5 games ahead of the Rangers, they probably would have to win 3 or 4 more. But Angels keep losing, so they're going to head the wrong way. And then I don't know what's going on with the Rangers, but that's how that's going to go there. The Yankees can just win 2 more. They're automatically there. The Twins with 2 more wins and 2 more losses by the Angels, and the Rangers, they are in there. So the Angels have nobody else to blame but themselves. They got another bat, but the pitching doesn't hold up. They played a tough series against Cleveland. I think all the games were close games. They just couldn't get wins. And you got to be able to get wins, and you got to have some pitching. You got to have, and the problem is their bullpen and their closers. You can't do that. You can't win. I'm just not impressed. We've given up a lot, and our pitching has suffered, and it might be time to do something different. In the National League, the Rockies and the Cardinals and the Brewers are within a game and a half of each other for the 2nd wild card spot. The Arizona Diamondbacks have pretty much walked their way in there. I think 1 or 2 more wins. They are good, but the Rockies, Cardinals, and Brewers are going to be battling out. The Brewers, unfortunately, are dealing with the Cubs today and tomorrow. I don't think I've looked at the updated standings, but they're dealing with the Cubs. And the Rockies and Cardinals, I don't know who they're dealing with, but any team that has to face the Cubs is going to have a tougher road to hoe there. Also, if you're facing the Dodgers, because those teams are going for, the Dodgers are going for number 1 seed in the National League, and the Cubs, of course, want to keep trying to ride with their stride. So that's going to be a difference there. So it's coming down to the wire in Major League Baseball. This final week here is pretty much going to do it all here. Like I said, most teams 8 games left, so we're talking about the end of next week. But maybe by the middle of next week, it may already be resolved. Pro football, Jason Verrett, cornerback for the San Diego Chargers, is done for the season. His same knee that kept him out of games last year is acting up again. And so after 1 game, he's done for the season. I don't know if the Chargers are just unlucky or if they're just terrible at drafting people, but I do know they have a knack for drafting players that have had injury problems in their college career. I don't know about Jason Verrett, but I do know that it just seems like another pattern of guys not being healthy. So that bothers me in that instance. Anyway, San Diego Chargers, I don't know what to say. They got Kansas City tomorrow. I don't expect them to beat Kansas City. The head coach says it's not the same old Chargers. Anthony Lynn says not the same old Chargers, but you've lost 2 games, close games that you could have won. Sound like the same old Chargers to me. I said it, so it's got to be said. In the NBA, Carmelo Anthony was finally traded. He was finally traded from the Knicks, and the Knicks traded him to Oklahoma City, the Thunder. The Thunder has picked up Carmelo Anthony and has also picked up Paul George. Could be an interesting team. Well, it should be an interesting team, but it's all about Russell Westbrook sharing the ball. The Thunder gave up Enes Kanter, who was good for offense but no defense, and gave up Doug McDermott, who they got from the Bulls. And McDermott, I never got in his groove, and I think part of that not getting his groove is Westbrook don't pass the ball, and then when you finally get the ball, you're so out of sync, you're so cold or rusty or whatever that you're not making shots. But hey, you're a shooter, you just keep shooting, and if you make shots, they'll trust you more. But anyway, they sent Cantor and McDermott, and in second round 2018 second round pick that they got from the Bulls, probably with McDermott last year, I think, and they sent it all to the Knicks. So the Knicks basically got nothing, and OKC got a score. Melo doesn't play defense. He plays isolation on offense. The Thunder pretty much play isolation on offense. It's going to be interesting to see how Billy Donovan can mesh that together. But he's got a lot of talent on the team. So the question is, can they make that talent work and get it done? This trade was beneficial for both teams, but also beneficial to the Knicks and to Carmelo Anthony. The Knicks weren't going anywhere, so Carmelo benefits from that. Unfortunately, I've never been a big fan of Carmelo Anthony and the way he plays basketball. He plays isolation basketball. In this new NBA, you got to be able to pass the ball, share the ball, or do pick and roll, whatever. But isolation doesn't work as well. And I think he's only won one playoff series in his entire career. And there's some validity to that where he maybe just the systems doesn't fit right. And it's like Allen Iverson. He's Allen Iverson. The difference is he'll practice, and he might even share the ball. But the difference is you can't play ISO basketball. You can't go out there and try to score 30 a night and win the game. The Michael Jordan era is over. It's been over for 20 years. You got to go out there and share the ball and pass the ball and rebound. And if you're not doing that, it's going to be tough for you to win. It's easy for teams to key on you. And today's players, when they're not used to getting the ball, guess what? Then they get lost and they start watching. So, go figure. For the Knicks, it's good they get Carmelo off of there. Now they can move on. They can see what they have, that sort of thing. Phil Jackson was still part of it. I mean, Phil Jackson brought in Carmelo, and that's where the problem was. But now that Phil Jackson gone, that's a different stare. But with Phil gone and Carmelo gone, now the head coach, which is Jeff Hornacek, he can run what he wants to run, and he wants to run pick and roll. So he'll have his pick and roll players. Yes, now they will be better, but they're not going to be elite or great. But give the Knicks a couple of years, as long as they allow Hornacek to do what he needs to do, they're going to be fine. You got some pieces there. You got the best player on the team right now, Kristaps Porzingis. The Knicks will rebound. They'll be better. I think Hornacek's got to do it. I thought Jason Kidd could have done it. But again, Phil Jackson's trying to control how these guys coach, and you can't do that. Phil Jackson wanted the coach to run triangle. Well, Jason Kidd was a pick and roll player. Hornacek came from a pick and roll system, and then you get Carmelo Anthony, who's an ISO player. So you're a triangle coach, you're a triangle GM, and you want your pick and roll coaches to convert an ISO player to run triangle. It doesn't make any sense. And there you have it. So the Knicks be able to move on. We'll see what happens there. OKC will be fun to watch, unless it just doesn't work, and then it'll just be watching a train wreck. That's basically what we'll say. College football, there's still some college games going on, but I just want to give you, a few updates on some games. Alabama beat Vanderbilt 59-0 in Nashville. Everybody thought Vandy would be a test for them. So far, the biggest test Bama has had was Florida State. And if Florida State had a semblance of an offense, they could have had a chance to win that game. But I don't know why people talk noise and say, hey, bring on Bama. They're a good team. They're a good team. Why don't you just say, okay, it's going to be a tough game, number one ranked team, we're going to come out there and give it a shot. That's it. There's always that one idiot who says, bring on Bama. Come on, dude. Get it together. And Vanderbilt goes next week to Florida. And after this butt whooping, I don't know if the mind will be right. The Gators keep eking by, sliding by teams without 10 players. They did it again today. Kentucky was up 27-14 in the fourth quarter and ended up losing that game. The Gators have won 31 straight against Kentucky. 86 was probably the Galen Hall era, or whoever was at the Galen Hall. All I know is that when you lose 31 straight to somebody, you might just want to have somebody just put the L on there and then you just move on to the next game. Call it a bye week. So that was that. TCU beat Oklahoma State 44-31. Somebody on TV had Oklahoma State in their Final Four for the playoffs. Big 12, we know, is just offense. You got to get somebody to play some defense. Nobody plays defense. So in any given night, the wrong team can win because nobody plays defense. But TCU wins 44-31. Now they'll be hyping up the Frogs, and they'll probably go against Texas and lose, or Oklahoma and lose. So Big 12, they just continue to just shoot each other in the foot, and that's how they get uninvited to the playoff. The Miami Hurricanes beat the Toledo Rockets 52-30. They were only up 38-30 in the fourth quarter, and then Toledo, I guess, fell apart. I didn't watch the game. Miami scoring 52 is not impressive when you give up 30 to the other team. But hey, they woke up and got it done. I think part of it had to do with a 3-week layoff. They hadn't played in 3 weeks. This was only their second game of the season. And probably just adjusting to playing and then adjusting to a Toledo team that you probably never see play at all. They never had to deal with that type of play. Makes a difference. So I'll give them props for holding on and winning that game there. Michigan beat Purdue 28-10. People thought Purdue would give them a go. And for a half, it happened. Purdue was actually up 10-7 at halftime. Michigan promptly outscored them 21-0 in the second half, and therefore Purdue fell apart. The QB play was really in question there at Purdue. They started switching them when they just couldn't get any consistency. And Michigan just is like, they say, they're just like Novocaine. Let it set in. And the defense set in, the offense set in. Actually, what happened is John O'Korn had to come in for Wilton Speed. Speed got hurt in the first quarter, and I thought if Michigan was going to lose, it would be the quarterback's fault. So the fact that John O'Korn got to play, he really made the difference, and this was a big game, big experience he got here. John O'Korn is the QB of the future at Michigan. Wilton Spieth, I was never impressed with, and I thought for sure if Michigan lost a game, that guy would be at the helm. Now with O'Korn, Michigan's probably a better team, and this could be, they could be pretty special down the line. Penn State beat Iowa. I saw the end of the game. I saw the last two plays of the game. They beat Iowa 21-19. Iowa was up 19-15 with 4 seconds left. And Penn State quarterback McSorley threw a bullet from about 6 yards out, 6 or 7 yards out to one of the receivers for a touchdown to win 21-19. Last year, Penn State lost to Iowa, and it probably cost them a chance to go to the college football playoff. But they got the win this time. Big win for Penn State. Lastly, in college football, I'm going to talk about my Seminoles. NC State beat them 27-21. It was the first game for the Noles in 3 weeks since they lost to Alabama. In that game, they lost their starting quarterback, DeAndre Francois. So James Blackman, a true freshman out of Belle Glades. Is it Belle Glades? Yeah, is he from Belle Glade? Or Miami Central? I think he's from Miami Central. Miami Central High School. I think he's from Miami. I want to say Belgrade, but I think it's Miami Central. Anyway, it was his first game as a true freshman, 18 years old. Florida State had not started a true freshman since 1985. That QB's name was Chip Ferguson. Jameis Winston was a redshirt freshman, for those of you asking, and Deondre Francois was a redshirt freshman. This is their first true freshman. This guy did not even start school early. He graduated in May, did not start school early at Florida State. So when he stepped on campus in the summer, that's when he got the playing time. And again, they didn't expect him to be playing right now, but Francois got hurt, so he's doing his thing. 6'5", about 170 pounds, soaking wet. He needs to be protected more, and he needs to figure out how to not take hits, and if that means running a little bit, he needs to do that. 169 pounds, you're not going to last very long taking hits, especially hits that you can avoid taking, not from what your offensive line is not doing. Anyway, he was 22 of 38 for 278 yards, 1 TD. He did have a costly fumble. And that cost us a scoring drive. The Seminoles had 7 attempts in the red zone and only ended up with 1 touchdown. And that means they had, from the red zone, 1 touchdown from the red zone. And I think they had 3 field goals, something like that. Because they did have a safety, so it was 4 field goals. And they had a safety. So they had 4 field goals from Ricky Aguayo, who did miss a field goal. That could have made a difference as well in the game. He missed one last week as well. He missed one, not last week, but the last game against Bama. But again, the big telltale sign, 7 drives in the red zone. They ended up with 4 field goals and 1 touchdown. You don't want that. You got to score. The one other time was the fumble by Blackman, and then the missed field goal by Aguayo. The defense held up as long as they could. Some people say, the defense didn't play well. Well, they only gave up 27 points. NC State had the ball 33 plus minutes to Florida State's like 26 plus minutes. They did what they could. And they did what they could in the point that they lost their linebacker, Matthew Thomas, to an injury, back injury. Jacob Pugh was ejected for targeting. I think the targeting penalty, or whatever they want to call it, I think it's the most subjective call in college football. I won't say it's a bad thing, but I say it's the most subjective call. I'm thinking maybe they should have a flagrant and a flagrant. I think they should have a flagrant 1 and a flagrant 2 type of penalty for targeting, because some of these calls they're calling, they're not malicious, they're not intentional, and so because you call it targeting, basically, in order for you to validate your penalty, it has to be targeting, and therefore the player's automatically thrown out the game. That's basically how targeting works. If they throw the flag, in order to charge you 15 yards, they got to throw a player out the game, and that's not fair. Because, like I said, a lot of times it's not even intentional. You can tell intentional when you see it, or just malicious. But anyway, Jacob Pugh was ejected for targeting. Matthew Thomas got out, left with an injury. So you had 2 guys from your defense gone, and then Auden Tate, who actually had basically a coming out party. 9 catches, 138 yards. But we missed him in the second half. He had a touchdown as well. He injured his shoulder. They say he should be back next week, but he injured his shoulder, and that was his favorite target right there, Blackman's favorite target. But it also helped spread the ball a little bit, open up the running game a little bit for Cam Akers. But you lose 3 guys key, two guys key to your defense, and then your key receiver, you're gonna have problems there. So it was just a little bit too much for us at the end, 27-21. The O-line is still terrible. I think the O-line is terrible. I don't know if it's the scheme or whatever. I had a critic say that, Jimbo doesn't know how to make calls, doesn't know how to call the game. But first he tried to blame the defense. I'm like, okay, which one is it? Defense or Jimbo, or are you going to call it both and just basically say Florida State is a terrible team? At the end of the day, Jimbo's been running the same offense since he's been coaching at Florida State, and we've been successful with it, a la winning a national title, and now all of a sudden he doesn't know what he's doing. Now, these players already know what they need to do in Jimbo's offense. See the guy, get the ball to him, and if the ball don't get to him, you need to run, or you need to get the ball out of your hands. Don't take the hits. You do have to hold on to it a little bit longer, but You don't have to take the hits. Our outlook, after the Bama game, I thought we were still good enough. If Blackman looked good, I thought we could still win every game except for Clemson game. I think in Clemson, we're not going to win that game. I still think Blackman is very good, but I just don't know about how our O-line is going to hold up. And, we got to stay healthy, and we got to keep Blackman upright. J.J. Constantino, we don't want to see that guy on the field. I'm not impressed with him. We don't want to see that guy on the field. Right now, I would have to say I'm not sure we can beat Louisville. So that's going to be a problem as well. So with that being said, we could be looking at 8-4. I still think we're good enough to beat Miami. We have Wake Forest next week. That's going to be tough because it's a road game, and I think Wake Forest is 4-0. That's going to be a tough game, but we need that game. We need that game big time. We can't start off 0-3 and then got to face Miami the week after that. I still think we're good enough to beat Miami. I know Louisville's down the line. I know Clemson's down the line. And we have Florida at the end of the season. If we still have Blackman at the end of the season against Florida, we're good enough to beat them. Because if those 10 guys that they got are going to still be out, we're going to be fine. Even though Florida will have the experience to be better, I still think we're going to be fine. So right now, I still think I have to say 8-4 at best right now. I don't think we can beat Clemson. I don't think we can beat Louisville. I think the defense is good enough to try to get them, but if our offense doesn't score, you don't want to have to sit there and chase around Lamar Jackson, and you don't have any points. That can wear out your defense. If your offense is doing 3 and outs, if they're going to take too much time to get it going, that we can struggle. So right now, I got to be realistic a little bit. I got to look at us right now at 8-4. Right now, I still think we can beat Miami and Florida. I don't think we can beat Clemson and Louisville, so I'm going to say 8-4 right now. Subject to change, but it's going to be a weekly thing for Florida State and how I feel about it. So we'll see how it goes there. Major League Baseball had their first person to take a knee in protest, but not necessarily in support of Colin Kaepernick, and I'll get to that in a little bit, but in support of basically people being able to address their First Amendment rights. Donald Trump, the president, and I use the term loosely, the president, made a statement yesterday basically at a rally, I think in Alabama, saying, hey, these players need to stand for the national anthem. It's disrespectful to those that have served. He couldn't be more further from the truth that was even the intent, or that's what it even means. And I'll get to that in a second. But he said that the NFL owners should make these players stand or fire them. Cut them from the team, whatever you're talking about. But punish them. So this catcher, Bruce Maxwell, catcher for the A's, decided to take a knee today because he's saying basically, now you're basically going after people's First Amendment rights. To say what they're going to say, as long as they do it in peace, all that good stuff. The funny thing is all the people that have protested America, burning flags and all those type of things, I haven't heard the same outcry when those things happen. I haven't heard the same outcry. One black man takes a knee, and then a couple other people take a knee, and a couple other people say some things. Now all of a sudden, it's the worst thing in the world to exercise your First Amendment rights. Because again, that's what it is. You're exercising your First Amendment rights, and now this president is telling you can't do that now. Now it's a dictatorship. Now you can't exercise what has allowed you to be in office, what has allowed you to get away with some of the crap you've been saying, First Amendment rights. Now nobody can do it. You hear that? Now nobody can do it. So, shout out to Bruce Maxwell for doing that. Doing that first major league player to at least address the whole situation. Now that I've set the table for you, what has been interesting is that Mr. Trump didn't stop with his displeasure for anything. he decided to take his anger and address it to the Golden State Warriors, namely Steph Curry, and basically do a tweet by saying, since Steph Curry is taking too long to decide if he wants to come to the White House, Donald Trump said he's going to withdraw his invitation to the White House for the Golden State Warriors to recognize their NBA Finals championship. Let's be clear first. The White House never invited Golden State to the White House. Normally that is done after a phone call is made to the head coach, usually a few days or if not the same day after they win the championship. That was never done. And that's because Barack Obama was in office. No, he wasn't in office. This was in June. What am I thinking about? Anyway, Donald Trump never did that. So that never happened. Now, the White House was aware that the Golden State Warriors were still going to talk about it as a team and whether they would even come or not, but they were never invited. And this is according to Steve Kerr. They had never been invited as of yet. As a matter of fact, they were going to meet on it this morning to discuss it. Well, Donald Trump beat him to the punch last night with a tweet saying, I'm rescinding my offer. Well, first of all, you never offered it to them, and if I had to put money on it, they weren't going to come anyway. Steve Kerr has been one of the biggest critics about you, and Kevin Durant said he wasn't going, and Steph Curry was probably on the fence because he wanted to see what everybody else was going to do. So he didn't make a decision. He should have made a decision anyway. But at the end of the day, they were fine with that. The Golden State Warriors were fine with that. What I found interesting about that tweet is that he called out Stephen Curry by name when the aforementioned Steve Kerr has been the biggest critic of him, of Donald Trump, other than Greg Popovich, and yet I haven't heard any comment from Donald Trump about Greg Popovich or Steve Kerr. You can call it irony, or you can call it that you noticed that Stephen Curry is African American and Steve Kerr and Greg Popovich are not. I'll let you decide how you want to look at that. Now, I got nothing against Steve Kerr and Greg Popovich. That's not why I'm making the statement. I'm making a statement on why Mr. Trump has not said anything about what they've been criticizing for. So go figure with that. To add more flame to the fire, now LeBron James has gotten into the fracas, and he called, via tweet, he called Donald Trump a bum, because basically anybody who's going to now deny First Amendment rights and incite division of a country that's technically been divided anyway for 400 years, and if you're talking about when the country actually became a country in 1776, for 250 years, and you're sitting here making it even more divisive. I've never heard Donald Trump say anything positive about any minorities, even especially African Americans, and some people tried to argue to me, Donald Trump doesn't like people. Well, he doesn't like African Americans more than he likes people. And then somebody said, oh, he doesn't like women. Nah, he likes women, or he likes women. But the other part of the women is I think he just thinks that they should be seen and not heard. So that's Donald Trump in a nutshell. But I actually think he has a problem with outspoken African Americans. And I think he thinks they ought to sit in their place. And I'm sorry, Donald Trump, this isn't the 1930s. This isn't a plantation. This isn't 1817. This isn't 1970. This is 2017. We have First Amendment rights. We have our civil rights. We have the right to say everything that you say. We have the right to criticize you, because you haven't stopped criticizing anybody since you've been in office. You spend more time on Twitter criticizing people than you do trying to fix whatever problems America has or fixing anything in the world. So I need you to focus on that than to be focusing on everything else. Now, you can focus on it. There's no problem with that. You can definitely focus on that. But think about what you're getting into now. He, besides saying cut the players, he told the fans to walk out of stadiums if anybody protests. That ain't gonna happen, bro. And then he actually called the players who protest sons of bitches. This is your president, calling people sons of bitches because they're exercising their First Amendment rights. I'm sorry, but I don't think anybody has the right to call anybody a son of a bitch, because you're the president. You don't have that right. And anybody who doesn't agree with me, I'm fine with that. I don't say these things for you to agree with me. I don't say these things to convince you to agree with me. I say them because they're my opinion. And if you really think about it, it's the truth. What I found interesting today, because of the new comments by Donald Trump, now NFL owners are now speaking out, and I'm assuming these are owners that didn't give to Donald Trump during his campaign, but now they're speaking out on those statements Trump made, saying that everybody has a right to exercise their First Amendment rights. And I say this, owners, first of all, now you're speaking out. That makes you reactive. And you're speaking out about something that you probably knew was right in the beginning, but now you're saying something about it now because I think you're worried about what can this cause. All of your at least all of your African American players taking a knee. Somebody might not even play a game if you didn't come out and say anything about this lunatic in the White House saying these things. But I went a step further. You're saying that Donald Trump is basically trying to deny them their First Amendment rights by telling them they can't speak on things that they have a problem with. And in this case, it's racial injustice. Racial injustice. Cops killing blacks. Remember, that's why this whole thing started. Cops killing blacks. Nothing else. It ain't about taking the knee. It ain't about people giving their opinion. It's about cops killing blacks. That's why it all started. That's what Colin Kaepernick tried to tell all of you who weren't trying to hear it. All of you just thought the same thing that Donald Trump is now trying to feed y'all, or trying to feed America. It's a disrespect to the flag. Now, you owners that have spoken out are saying, no, it's not a disrespect to the flag. They have the right to exercise their First Amendment rights. Well, guess what you did, owners, when you guys decided you did not want to hire Colin Kaepernick? You punished him for exercising his First Amendment rights. That's what you did. And you're still doing it. So if any of you got the balls to question the president right now, have the balls to hire Colin Kaepernick to really piss him off. But also to fix what you did wrong. To fix what you did wrong, which is basically the same thing that Donald Trump is trying to do right now. I'm not going to let you off the hook. You're being reactive, but you're also being reactive about the same thing that the president is doing that you had already done to somebody. So I'm not buying. Mr. Trump, you might have made a mistake. Trying to get all the owners to rally around and just fire people or cut people for not standing for the flag. Well, you might have just united everybody now, especially everybody who didn't like you in the first place. I mean, you're talking about disrespecting the flag and those who serve. You were a draft dodger. And now those who are even serving are getting on the side of those who felt like they had a right to protest. And then the protest had nothing to do with the flag. Protests had to do with cops killing blacks, which is the same point that keeps getting ignored right now. So that tells me that you were oblivious to what Colin Kaepernick was protesting in the first place, along with others. Using the military smoke and mirrors. I've said before, the military was paying the NFL to recognize them years ago. And then once shit hit the fan, then the NFL said, oh, we're not going to take your money anymore. We'll let you come out here and we'll show respect to you. As long as nobody was going to say anything about it, NFL was going to take the money. So I'm not trying to hit that one. Now, somebody says, well, has Trump ever said anything concerning support for minorities? No. Trying to deport everybody, trying to build a wall, and he even told cops to use as much excessive force as needed to do whatever you got to do. So he hasn't tried to support any minorities. He hasn't even tried to show sympathy for those who have lost their lives from policemen using excessive force irresponsibly. when there's been plenty much video to show it. He called the people in Charlottesville, those white supremacists, good fine people. But the people protesting are disrespectful to America. I've done this before. That American flag has never represented black people. The national anthem never represented black people. Peep out verse 2 and 3 of the Star Spangled Banner. Read it. Never represented us. And even after 400 years, we still have to worry about people in power killing us for sport, for no reason, even when there's proof, and getting off of it. The days of lynchings, days of assassination, and now the days of police protection, security. Policemen saying they fear for their lives. Why? Because we black? They're already scared, and they need a reason to kill people. And so that society doesn't turn against the police, they're letting them get off. And please don't have me run off on another tangent. I still have a problem with why the African American policemen are mum on this, are quiet on this. I don't understand that. A brotherhood that is killing your brothers, and you're not saying anything? Y'all got to do better than this. So I say to you, Donald Trump, it's going to be interesting to see how tomorrow goes when all the NFL games are going on, baseball games are going on. There's one baseball guy that's already done protested against you now. And the NBA starts in less than a month. It's about to get real, bro. Now what you've done is the thing that, as long as you didn't open your mouth, everybody would have continued to just vilify or lowball or blackball Colin Kaepernick. Now that you've opened your mouth and just have been gone crazy and said something stupid, now they're all turning against you. But still, the problem that needs to be fixed, get that fool out of the White House. But the other thing is somebody should be trying to hire Colin Kaepernick, but there should be some apologies going on around here. And until those apologies pop out, I'm not buying it until apologies pop out. I've ran it long enough, and I'll probably do some more tomorrow because seeing those, and I was boycotting NFL games, but tomorrow I gotta see for my own eyes if there are going to be protests. If there's nobody protesting tomorrow, then everything that happened today means zilch. That means Donald Trump has won. Somebody's got to stand up to this guy. Make a statement. Say something to him. This is the opportunity now. And if nobody does that, then it's going to be pretty sad, and I'm going to have some pretty negative things to say about all athletes tomorrow if there are no protests. That being said, you guys take care of yourself. God bless you, and free Colin Kaepernick. Peace.